The 12th century was a turbulent time on the Iberian Peninsula, a land divided by the ebb and flow of kingdoms and cultures, where the Christian Reconquista fought for dominance over the Moorish strongholds. Amid this landscape of power struggles and shifting alliances, Portugal, a young and ambitious kingdom, sought to secure its place among the great nations of Europe. At its helm stood Afonso I, a warrior king whose military conquests had carved out the foundations of an independent Portugal. But while Afonso's sword secured the land, his successors needed alliances to secure its future. Entered Dulce of Aragon, a princess of noble lineage whose marriage to Sancho I would forever bind the destinies of Aragon and Portugal. Dulce's arrival in Portugal was not merely a political maneuver. It was the beginning of a partnership that would shape the course of Portuguese history, though her story has often been overshadowed by the exploits of kings and warriors. Dulce's influence as queen, mother, and patron of faith resonated deeply through the lives of those she touched. Born into the royal house of Aragon, Dulce Berenguer inherited a legacy of political acumen and religious devotion. Her father, Ramiro II of Aragon, had been a monk-turned-king, his reign defined by a delicate balancing act between duty and faith. From an early age, Dulce was steeped in the values of her lineage: loyalty, piety, and a keen understanding of the complexities of power. These qualities would serve her well when she crossed the Pyrenees to marry Sancho I, heir to the Portuguese throne. The marriage, orchestrated in 1174, was a calculated union designed to strengthen the ties between two Christian kingdoms. At the time, Portugal was still in its infancy, a fledgling state struggling to solidify its borders and assert its sovereignty. Aragon, meanwhile, was a well-established kingdom with a reputation for strategic diplomacy. Dulce, as a daughter of Aragon, brought not only the prestige of her bloodline but also the promise of an enduring alliance. The journey to Portugal must have been both thrilling and daunting for Dulce. Leaving behind the familiar landscapes of Aragon, she ventured into a land marked by its rugged terrain and burgeoning identity. Upon her arrival, she was greeted with the pomp and ceremony befitting a queen-in-waiting. Yet the weight of her new role was unmistakable. Dulce was not merely a bride. She was a symbol of unity and a bridge between two realms. As queen, Dulce found herself at the heart of a court that was both vibrant and demanding. Sancho I, though a capable ruler, was a man deeply influenced by the legacy of his father. Afonso I had been a king of war, his reign defined by conquest and fortification. Sancho's challenge was different: to nurture a kingdom that had been won through bloodshed and to transform it into a thriving nation. In this endeavor, Dulce's support was indispensable. Dulce quickly became a central figure in the Portuguese court, her influence extending far beyond the traditional confines of queenship. She was a patron of the arts and a staunch supporter of the Catholic Church, fostering a culture of devotion and learning that would leave a lasting imprint on the kingdom. Under her guidance, monasteries flourished, and religious institutions gained prominence, reinforcing the moral and spiritual foundation of Portuguese society. But Dulce's most enduring legacy lay in her role as a mother. She bore Sancho 11 children, a remarkable feat that secured the dynasty's future and cemented Portugal's alliances with other European powers. Each child was a testament to Dulce's commitment to her family and her kingdom, their lives shaped by the values she instilled in them. Among her children was Afonso II, who would go on to inherit the throne and continue his parents' work of building a strong and unified Portugal. Despite the challenges of court life and the demands of motherhood, Dulce remained a steadfast partner to Sancho. Their marriage, though rooted in political strategy, evolved into a true partnership built on mutual respect and shared purpose. Together, they navigated the complexities of governance, balancing the needs of their people with the ambitions of their reign. However, Dulce's life was not without its trials. The political landscape of Iberia was fraught with conflict, and Portugal was often caught in the crossfire of competing interests. As queen, Dulce played a vital role in mediating disputes and maintaining stability, her diplomatic skills proving invaluable in times of crisis. Her ability to navigate these challenges with grace and determination earned her the admiration of her contemporaries and the respect of history. Dulce's story is one of quiet strength and enduring influence. Though she may not have wielded a sword or commanded armies, her contributions to Portugal's development were no less significant. As a queen, she provided a steady hand in a time of uncertainty. As a mother, she ensured the continuity of her husband's legacy. And as a patron of faith, she laid the spiritual groundwork for a nation's identity. In the pages that follow, we will journey through the life of Dulce of Aragon, exploring the pivotal moments that defined her reign and the impact she had on those around her. From her marriage to Sancho I to her role as a mother and her lasting influence on Portuguese history, Dulce's story is a testament to the power of leadership, love, and faith. It is a tale that reminds us that history is shaped not only by the warriors who win battles but also by the visionaries who build nations. The year was 1174, and the kingdoms of Iberia were entangled in a complex web of alliances, rivalries, and religious fervor. The Reconquista was in full swing, with Christian monarchs striving to reclaim lands from the Moors, while also contending with each other for dominance. In this dynamic and often volatile environment, the union of Dulce of Aragon and Sancho I of Portugal was a beacon of hope for stability and cooperation. Dulce Berenguer, the daughter of Ramiro II of Aragon, was born into a lineage steeped in history and ambition. Her father's brief yet impactful reign was a testament to the challenges of balancing faith and duty in a region marked by constant upheaval. Dulce grew up in a court where diplomacy and piety coexisted, shaping her into a woman of both intellect and grace. Her education was not limited to religious doctrine but included lessons in the art of governance, an understanding of alliances, and the nuances of courtly life. At the time, Portugal was a fledgling kingdom, having gained its independence through the efforts of Afonso I, Sancho's father. Though victorious in battle, Portugal faced the daunting task of solidifying its borders and earning recognition from neighboring powers. Afonso I, ever the strategist, sought to strengthen his kingdom through diplomacy. The marriage of his heir, Sancho, to a princess of Aragon was a move that promised to enhance Portugal's standing and create a united Christian front. The negotiations leading to the marriage were meticulous, reflecting the high stakes of the alliance. Dulce's dowry, a significant component of the agreement, included lands and resources that would bolster Portugal's economy. In return, Portugal pledged military support to Aragon in its campaigns against the Moors. The marriage was not merely a union of two individuals but a melding of two nations, each seeking to secure its future in an unpredictable world. Dulce's journey to Portugal was both literal and symbolic. As she crossed the Pyrenees, she left behind the familiar comforts of her homeland, stepping into a role that would demand resilience and adaptability. Her arrival in Portugal was marked by grand ceremonies, a testament to the significance of her new position. The people of Portugal welcomed her with open arms, recognizing in her the qualities that would make her a beloved queen. Sancho I, though young, was a ruler with a vision. He inherited his father's determination but sought to distinguish himself through efforts to rebuild and repopulate Portugal's lands. The kingdom had suffered greatly during the wars for independence, and Sancho understood that its strength lay in the prosperity of its people. Dulce, with her background in governance and diplomacy, became an invaluable partner in this endeavor. Their marriage began as a political arrangement but quickly evolved into a genuine partnership. Sancho found in Dulce a confidant and advisor whose insights often proved instrumental in navigating the challenges of leadership. Dulce, in turn, admired Sancho's commitment to his people and his vision for Portugal's future. Together, they laid the groundwork for a reign that would leave a lasting legacy. Dulce's presence in the Portuguese court brought a touch of Aragonese culture, enriching the kingdom's traditions and fostering a spirit of collaboration. She was instrumental in forging alliances with neighboring states, her diplomatic acumen earning her respect both at home and abroad. Her ability to navigate the intricacies of court life and international relations made her a key figure in Portugal's ascent as a nation. The alliance between Portugal and Aragon, solidified through Dulce and Sancho's marriage, bore fruit in ways that exceeded expectations. The two kingdoms supported each other in their respective campaigns, their combined strength a formidable force against common adversaries. Dulce's role in maintaining this alliance cannot be overstated. Her efforts to nurture the relationship between the two courts ensured its longevity and effectiveness. As queen, Dulce embraced her responsibilities with unwavering dedication. She championed initiatives that improved the lives of her subjects, from supporting agricultural development to promoting education and religious devotion. Her piety resonated deeply with the people, who saw in her a reflection of the values they held dear. Under her influence, the Portuguese court became a center of learning and spirituality, its reputation reaching far beyond the kingdom's borders. Dulce's influence extended beyond the confines of the court, shaping the cultural and political landscape of Portugal. Her support for the Catholic Church strengthened its presence in the kingdom, laying the foundation for its pivotal role in Portuguese society. She patronized the arts and education, her efforts fostering a renaissance of thought and creativity that would endure for generations. The union of Dulce of Aragon and Sancho I was a turning point in Portuguese history. It was a marriage that transcended the personal, embodying the hopes and aspirations of two nations. Through their partnership, Dulce and Sancho charted a course for Portugal's future, their combined legacy a testament to the power of collaboration and shared vision. In the years to come, Dulce's impact would be felt in every corner of the kingdom, her influence shaping the lives of those who followed. As the mother of a dynasty, she ensured the continuity of Portugal's royal lineage, her children carrying forward the ideals she held dear. Her story, though often overshadowed by the exploits of her husband and sons, is a reminder of the profound impact one woman can have on the course of history. Through Dulce of Aragon, we see the quiet strength of a queen whose contributions were as vital as they were enduring, a testament to the indelible mark she left on Portugal and beyond. The early years of Dulce and Sancho's marriage marked a pivotal period in the history of Portugal, one where the foundations of the young kingdom were not only tested but also strengthened by the unwavering partnership of the royal couple. Although their union was initially arranged as a political alliance, it quickly grew into something deeper, a union of shared vision and complementary strengths that would propel Portugal toward stability and growth. Dulce, despite being a foreign princess, adapted quickly to her new role as the Queen of Portugal. Her upbringing in the Aragonese court had prepared her well for the demands of queenship. She had been taught not only the etiquette of courtly life but also the intricacies of governance and diplomacy. From the moment she stepped into her role, she demonstrated a keen understanding of the challenges facing her adopted homeland. Sancho I, though young and still finding his footing as a ruler, found in Dulce a trusted partner whose wisdom and counsel often proved invaluable. Their relationship was one of mutual respect and admiration, and this bond became a cornerstone of their reign. Dulce's insights were particularly instrumental in helping Sancho prioritize the rebuilding of Portugal's infrastructure and population, a daunting task following decades of war and upheaval. One of the first major challenges the couple faced together was the issue of repopulating and revitalizing the lands that had been devastated during the wars for independence. Many regions in Portugal were sparsely inhabited, with entire villages lying abandoned. Sancho, later known as Sancho the Populator, embarked on an ambitious campaign to resettle these lands, offering incentives to both local and foreign settlers. Dulce's role in this endeavor, though less visible, was equally critical. Behind the scenes, Dulce used her diplomatic connections and personal charisma to attract settlers from Aragon and other neighboring regions. Her presence as queen symbolized the unity and stability of Portugal, reassuring those who were hesitant to make the journey. Furthermore, Dulce ensured that the settlements were not just functional but also rooted in faith and community. She supported the establishment of churches and monasteries in these new villages, recognizing the importance of spiritual life in fostering a sense of belonging and purpose. Within the royal court, Dulce worked tirelessly to cultivate an atmosphere of collaboration and intellectual growth. She believed that a strong kingdom required not only physical infrastructure, but also a vibrant cultural and spiritual foundation. Under her influence, the court became a center for learning and the arts, attracting scholars, poets, and theologians from across Iberia. This cultural enrichment not only elevated Portugal's prestige but also helped to unify its diverse population under a shared identity. Dulce's faith was a driving force behind many of her initiatives. She was deeply devout, and her piety resonated with the Portuguese people. She often participated in religious ceremonies and supported the church's efforts to spread its teachings throughout the kingdom. Dulce's patronage of monastic orders, in particular, left a lasting legacy, as these institutions became hubs of education and charity, serving both the spiritual and practical needs of the populace. The Queen's personal qualities also played a significant role in shaping the perception of the monarchy. Dulce was known for her kindness and approachability, qualities that endeared her to the people. Despite her royal status, she made a concerted effort to understand the struggles of her subjects, often advocating for policies that addressed their needs. Her compassion was matched by her intelligence, as she deftly navigated the complexities of court politics and international diplomacy. As the years passed, the bond between Dulce and Sancho deepened. Together, they faced numerous challenges, from internal disputes among the nobility to external threats from neighboring kingdoms. Each crisis tested their resolve and unity, but it also reinforced the strength of their partnership. Sancho relied heavily on Dulce's counsel, often seeking her advice on matters of governance and strategy. In turn, Dulce supported Sancho's vision for Portugal, helping him to balance his ambitious goals with the practical realities of ruling a young and diverse kingdom. The fruits of their labor began to manifest in tangible ways. The population grew steadily, new villages sprang up across the countryside, and the economy showed signs of recovery. Portugal, once a fledgling state struggling to find its place on the Iberian Peninsula, began to emerge as a stable and cohesive nation. Much of this progress could be traced back to the groundwork laid by Dulce and Sancho during these formative years. On a personal level, Dulce's role as a wife and mother further cemented her importance to the kingdom. She bore Sancho 11 children, each of whom would play a crucial role in the continuation of the dynasty. Her influence on her children was profound. She instilled in them a sense of duty, faith, and respect for their heritage. Among them was Afonso II, who would later inherit the throne and carry forward the legacy of his parents. Dulce's ability to balance her roles as queen, wife, and mother was nothing short of extraordinary. She was a woman of many talents, seamlessly blending her public and private lives in a way that left an indelible mark on both. Her partnership with Sancho was not without its challenges, but their shared commitment to Portugal's future allowed them to overcome the obstacles they faced. As their reign progressed, Dulce and Sancho became a symbol of unity and resilience for the Portuguese people. Their story was one of love and power, a testament to what could be achieved when two individuals came together with a common purpose. Through their efforts, Portugal began to lay the foundations of a prosperous and enduring kingdom, and Dulce's contributions were integral to this transformation. In the years to come, Dulce's influence would continue to shape Portugal's destiny, both through her direct actions and through the legacy she left behind. Her story, like that of the kingdom she helped to build, was one of perseverance, vision, and faith, a foundation upon which the future of Portugal would be built. The Portuguese court under Dulce of Aragon's influence was a tapestry of faith, culture, and diplomacy, while Sancho I focused on the external development of the kingdom, repopulating lands, fortifying borders, and maintaining political alliances, Dulce turned her attention inward, creating a court that reflected the aspirations of a young nation poised for greatness. The Queen's court became a beacon of cultural refinement and religious devotion, embodying the ideals that would define Portugal's identity for generations. Dulce understood the power of symbolism in shaping the perception of the monarchy. From the moment she arrived in Portugal, she took deliberate steps to blend Aragonese sophistication with Portuguese tradition, crafting an image of unity and progress. The Queen's presence was a reminder that Portugal was not an isolated backwater, but a kingdom connected to the broader Christian world. Through her patronage, the court became a hub of intellectual and artistic activity, drawing talent from across Iberia and beyond. One of Dulce's first significant acts as queen was to foster closer ties with the Catholic Church, recognizing the Church's central role in legitimizing royal authority and unifying the population. She worked tirelessly to strengthen its presence in Portugal. Under her guidance, the court became a center for theological discussion and religious activity. Monasteries flourished, supported by royal patronage, and their influence extended into education, charity, and the arts. The Queen was particularly invested in the promotion of monastic life, which she saw as a vital force for spiritual renewal and social stability. She worked closely with the Cistercian order, whose emphasis on simplicity and piety resonated with her own values. Several monasteries were established or expanded during her reign, including the famed Alcobaça Monastery, which would later become a symbol of Portuguese cultural and religious heritage. These institutions not only served as places of worship but also as centers of learning, preserving knowledge and training future leaders. Dulce's court was also a haven for the arts. Poetry, music, and visual arts thrived under her patronage, reflecting a kingdom in the midst of cultural blossoming. Troubadours and poets were welcomed at court, their works often celebrating the themes of chivalry, love, and faith. Dulce herself was known to appreciate the arts deeply, her refined taste influencing the aesthetic direction of the court. Her support for artistic endeavors elevated Portugal's cultural profile, fostering a sense of pride and identity among its people. Beyond its artistic and religious achievements, the court was also a center of diplomacy. Dulce's upbringing in Aragon had equipped her with a keen understanding of international politics, and she used these skills to great effect. Her court hosted delegations from neighboring kingdoms, facilitating alliances and resolving disputes. Dulce's charm and intelligence made her an effective diplomat, her interventions often smoothing over conflicts that might have escalated into war. One notable example of her diplomatic acumen was her role in mediating tensions between Portugal and Castile. The two kingdoms, though bound by shared goals in the Reconquista, were also rivals, their interests often clashing. Dulce's efforts to maintain a cordial relationship with Castile were crucial in preventing open conflict during Sancho's reign. Her influence was a reminder that power could be wielded not only through force but also through persuasion and understanding. Dulce's court was a reflection of her character. Dignified, pious, and forward-thinking, she took a personal interest in the education of her children and the young nobles at court, ensuring that they were well-versed in governance, diplomacy, and the arts. Her vision extended beyond the immediate concerns of the kingdom, encompassing the long-term goal of creating a generation of leaders who could carry Portugal into a brighter future. Despite her many accomplishments, Dulce's court was not without its challenges. The Queen often faced resistance from conservative factions within the nobility, who viewed her reforms and patronage as extravagant or overly foreign. However, Dulce's steady resolve and Sancho's unwavering support allowed her to overcome these obstacles. Together, they presented a united front, their partnership embodying the ideals of a harmonious and effective monarchy. The influence of Dulce's court extended far beyond the walls of the royal palace. The cultural and religious revival she spearheaded resonated throughout the kingdom, inspiring a sense of unity and purpose among the people. Her initiatives laid the groundwork for Portugal's emergence as a center of learning and spirituality, a legacy that would endure for centuries. Dulce's contributions to the court were a testament to her vision for Portugal, a kingdom rooted in faith, enriched by culture, and strengthened by unity. Her efforts transformed the court into a microcosm of what she hoped Portugal could become, a beacon of light and hope in a world often overshadowed by conflict and division. As the Queen continued her work, the court became not only a symbol of royal power but also a testament to the transformative power of leadership and vision. As the years passed, Dulce of Aragon's role as queen evolved, and her focus shifted increasingly toward her family. The title of queen brought with it immense responsibilities, but none were more critical than her duty as the mother of a dynasty. Dulce's influence over her 11 children extended far beyond the nursery, shaping their education, values, and futures. Her efforts ensured not only the continuation of the royal line, but also the preservation of the ideals she and Sancho sought to instill in the Kingdom of Portugal. The birth of each child was a moment of celebration for the royal court, a sign of the kingdom's stability and the strength of its future. Dulce approached motherhood with the same dedication and grace that she brought to her duties as queen. Each of her children was seen not merely as heirs to the throne, but as ambassadors of Portugal's values and legacy. Among her children were several notable figures, including Afonso II, who would inherit the throne, and Teresa, who would later become Saint Teresa of Portugal. Each child reflected a facet of Dulce's character and influence, their lives shaped by the lessons and principles she imparted to them. Dulce's approach to motherhood was deeply rooted in her faith. She believed that her children's education should encompass not only the skills required for governance and diplomacy, but also a strong moral and spiritual foundation. To that end, she ensured that they were tutored by some of the most learned scholars and clergy of the time. The curriculum was rigorous, blending theology, philosophy, history, and practical governance. Dulce was a firm believer that a ruler's success depended on their character as much as their intellect. Her eldest son, Afonso, received particular attention as the heir apparent. Dulce worked closely with Sancho to prepare Afonso for the responsibilities he would one day inherit. She instilled in him a sense of duty and justice, emphasizing the importance of serving the people and preserving the kingdom's integrity. Under her guidance, Afonso grew into a capable and thoughtful young man, ready to take on the mantle of kingship when the time came. Dulce's daughters were no less important in her vision for the dynasty. In a time when royal daughters were often seen as pawns in political marriages, Dulce ensured that her daughters were educated and prepared to navigate the complexities of court life. Teresa, her eldest daughter, was particularly influenced by her mother's piety and devotion. Teresa's life would eventually take a remarkable turn when she chose to enter the religious life, becoming a nun and later canonized as a saint. Her journey was a testament to the values Dulce had instilled in her, a blend of humility, faith, and a desire to serve. The Queen's role in arranging advantageous marriages for her children also demonstrated her diplomatic acumen. These unions were not merely familial arrangements but strategic alliances that strengthened Portugal's position in the Iberian Peninsula and beyond. Dulce's ability to negotiate these marriages showcased her understanding of the broader political landscape, as well as her commitment to securing a stable and prosperous future for her family and kingdom. Despite the joy her children brought, Dulce's role as a mother was not without its challenges. The demands of court life and the pressures of maintaining the royal family's reputation often weighed heavily on her. She faced the constant worry of ensuring her children's safety and preparing them for the responsibilities they would one day bear. Additionally, managing the dynamics of a large royal family required patience, wisdom, and a steady hand, particularly as her children grew older and their ambitions began to take shape. Dulce's bond with her children was strengthened by her ability to balance authority with compassion. She was a guiding presence in their lives, offering both counsel and comfort. Her influence extended into their adulthood, as they carried the lessons of their upbringing into their own roles as leaders and representatives of the royal family. The values she instilled, faith, loyalty, and a commitment to the greater good, became the foundation upon which they built their lives. As the mother of a dynasty, Dulce's legacy was not confined to her own lifetime. Through her children, she ensured that the ideals she championed would endure long after she was gone. The dynasty she nurtured would go on to shape the course of Portuguese history, its members continuing the work she and Sancho had begun. In her quiet and unassuming way, Dulce demonstrated that motherhood was a form of leadership, one that required vision, strength, and boundless love. Her ability to balance the demands of queenship with the responsibilities of raising a family was a testament to her character and determination. Through her children, Dulce's influence reached far beyond the walls of the court, touching the lives of countless people across Portugal and beyond. The legacy of Dulce of Aragon as the mother of a dynasty is a reminder that true leadership often begins at home. Her efforts to nurture and guide her children ensured not only the continuity of the royal line, but also the perpetuation of the values that defined her reign. It was through her family that Dulce's impact would echo through the ages, shaping the destiny of Portugal for generations to come. Sancho I earned the moniker Sancho the Populator for his ambitious efforts to rebuild and repopulate Portugal's war-torn lands. While his vision was bold and transformative, it was Dulce's quiet yet critical counsel that ensured its success. Together, the royal couple forged a path for Portugal's future, blending Sancho's strategic governance with Dulce's diplomacy, pragmatism, and unyielding faith. Portugal in the late 12th century was still reeling from the decades of conflict that had established its independence. Villages lay abandoned, farmland went untended, and the kingdom's population had dwindled. Sancho recognized that the survival and prosperity of Portugal depended on revitalizing these desolate areas. His solution was a bold initiative to attract settlers, both domestic and foreign, offering incentives such as land grants, tax exemptions, and legal protections. Dulce played an indispensable role in this effort. Her diplomatic skills and connections to Aragon and other Iberian kingdoms allowed her to assist Sancho I in drawing settlers from outside Portugal. Dulce's reputation as a benevolent and devout queen made Portugal an appealing destination for those seeking a fresh start. She worked tirelessly behind the scenes, fostering trust among prospective settlers and ensuring that the promises of Sancho's policies were upheld. One of Dulce's most significant contributions to this campaign was her ability to bridge cultural and social divides. She understood that repopulating Portugal would require not just an influx of people, but also the integration of diverse communities. Dulce championed policies that promoted harmony among settlers, encouraging the establishment of local councils where disputes could be resolved amicably. Her focus on community building was instrumental in ensuring the long-term stability of these new settlements. Dulce's role as Sancho's confidant and advisor was evident in the careful balance of his policies. While Sancho was determined to expand the kingdom's agricultural capacity, Dulce emphasized the importance of fostering religious and cultural institutions alongside economic growth. Under her guidance, new settlements often included not just farmland but also churches and monasteries, which served as centers of faith, education, and social cohesion. Dulce believed that a strong spiritual foundation was essential for the success of any community. The Queen's influence extended to matters of legal reform as well. Many of the settlers who came to Portugal were from neighboring kingdoms, each bringing their own customs and traditions. Dulce worked with Sancho to develop legal frameworks that accommodated these diverse practices while maintaining the integrity of Portuguese law. Her efforts helped create an environment where settlers felt secure and valued, fostering loyalty to the crown and a sense of belonging to the kingdom. Sancho and Dulce's collaboration was not without its challenges. The ambitious scale of the repopulation campaign placed immense strain on Portugal's resources, and not all of the king's advisors supported his vision. Some members of the nobility resisted the influx of foreign settlers, fearing a loss of their influence and traditional privileges. Dulce, with her characteristic diplomacy, worked tirelessly to ease tensions and build consensus. Her ability to navigate these political complexities was a testament to her skill as a leader and partner to Sancho. One particularly challenging episode arose when disputes broke out between native Portuguese communities and incoming settlers over land rights. Dulce personally mediated several of these conflicts, earning the respect of both sides for her fairness and impartiality. Her efforts ensured that the repopulation campaign continued without descending into chaos, preserving the kingdom's unity at a critical moment. The fruits of Sancho's vision and Dulce's counsel became increasingly evident as the years passed. Once abandoned villages came to life with the sounds of bustling marketplaces, church bells, and the laughter of children. Fields that had lain fallow for years began to yield abundant harvests, fueling the kingdom's recovery and growth. The population swelled, and with it came a renewed sense of hope and possibility. Dulce's contributions to this transformation extended beyond her practical efforts. Her presence as queen symbolized the values that underpinned Portugal's resurgence: faith, resilience, and the belief in a better future. She was a steadying force during times of uncertainty, her unwavering support for Sancho's vision inspiring confidence among the people. The Queen's commitment to the spiritual well-being of the kingdom was particularly evident in her support for the Church's role in the repopulation effort. Dulce worked closely with monastic orders to establish schools and hospitals in the new settlements, ensuring that the physical and spiritual needs of the people were met. Her belief in the transformative power of faith was reflected in every aspect of her work, from the founding of new churches to her personal involvement in religious ceremonies. As the repopulation campaign reached its peak, Dulce's influence on Sancho became even more pronounced. The king often sought her advice on matters ranging from resource allocation to the selection of local leaders for the new communities. Dulce's insights, informed by her deep understanding of governance and human nature, helped Sancho navigate the complexities of his ambitious project. By the end of their reign, Sancho and Dulce had succeeded in transforming Portugal from a war-ravaged territory into a thriving and cohesive kingdom. The lands they had repopulate became the backbone of Portugal's economy and culture, their success a testament to the power of vision and collaboration. Dulce's role in this achievement, though often understated, was critical. She was the guiding force behind many of the policies and initiatives that made Sancho's vision a reality. In the partnership between Sancho and Dulce, history finds a rare example of a royal couple whose shared commitment to their people transcended personal ambition. Their collaboration not only revitalized Portugal, but also set the stage for its emergence as a significant power on the Iberian Peninsula. Dulce's counsel, rooted in compassion, faith, and wisdom, was a cornerstone of this success, a reminder that true leadership often lies in the ability to inspire and support others in their pursuit of greatness. The tranquil rhythm of Dulce and Sancho's reign was disrupted by the inevitable turbulence that came with ruling a young and ambitious kingdom. As Portugal's borders expanded and its influence grew, so too did the challenges that threatened its unity and stability. Political disputes, both internal and external, tested the resilience of the royal couple. Yet, amidst the chaos, it was Dulce's steadfast resolve and diplomatic acumen that often served as a beacon of stability, guiding Portugal through its most trying moments. Internally, the burgeoning kingdom faced tensions among its nobility. Many lords, emboldened by their contributions to Portugal's wars of independence, sought to assert greater control over their lands and privileges. These power struggles threatened the delicate balance of authority, with some factions openly opposing Sancho's policies. The king's ambitious repopulation efforts, while crucial for the kingdom's growth, further exacerbated tensions, as native Portuguese nobles felt sidelined by the influx of foreign settlers. Dulce emerged as a crucial mediator during these conflicts. Her upbringing in the politically astute court of Aragon had taught her the art of compromise, and she used these skills to great effect. Dulce held private audiences with discontented nobles, listening to their grievances and seeking common ground. Her ability to empathize without ceding authority often de-escalated potentially volatile situations. She advocated for policies that addressed the nobility's concerns while maintaining the integrity of Sancho's vision for Portugal. One notable episode involved a dispute over land rights in the northern regions of the kingdom. Several powerful families resisted the crown's efforts to redistribute lands to settlers, claiming ancestral ownership. The standoff threatened to erupt into open rebellion, with rival factions rallying their forces. Dulce personally intervened, traveling to the contested region to negotiate a resolution. Her presence, a symbol of the crown's commitment to fairness, reassured both parties that their concerns would be addressed. Through a series of careful compromises, Dulce brokered a settlement that upheld the settlers' rights while compensating the aggrieved nobles, averting what could have been a devastating conflict. Externally, Portugal faced constant pressure from its neighbors, the kingdoms of Castile and Leon. Though allies in the Reconquista, often viewed Portugal's growing power with suspicion. Border disputes were frequent, as territorial lines remained fluid in the aftermath of the wars against the Moors. Dulce's role as a diplomat became increasingly vital during these times of tension. Her marriage to Sancho had already established strong ties between Portugal and Aragon, and Dulce leveraged this alliance to Portugal's advantage. Her correspondence with her Aragonese relatives kept the relationship strong, ensuring Portugal had a reliable ally in the region. At the same time, Dulce worked to build bridges with Castile and Leon, hosting emissaries and fostering dialogue to resolve disputes peacefully. One of Dulce's most significant diplomatic achievements came during a particularly contentious border conflict with Castile. The dispute centered on a series of fortified towns claimed by both kingdoms, with skirmishes threatening to escalate into full-scale war. Dulce, recognizing the stakes, urged Sancho to pursue diplomacy rather than military action. She invited the Castilian court to negotiate directly in Portugal, hosting the delegation with great care and ceremony. Dulce's charm and tact disarmed the Castilian envoys, creating an atmosphere conducive to compromise. The resulting treaty not only resolved the immediate conflict but also laid the groundwork for a more cooperative relationship between the two kingdoms. While Dulce's diplomacy brought moments of peace, the challenges of her position took a personal toll. The queen often bore the emotional weight of the kingdom's struggles, her role requiring her to navigate treacherous waters with little respite. Despite this, Dulce remained a steadying force, her faith and devotion providing her with the strength to persevere. Her efforts were not limited to courtly diplomacy. Dulce also recognized the importance of connecting with the common people during times of turmoil. She frequently traveled throughout the kingdom, visiting towns and villages to assess their needs and listen to their concerns. These journeys were not merely symbolic. They reinforced the bond between the crown and its subjects, fostering loyalty and trust in the monarchy. Dulce's presence during these visits was often met with reverence. Her reputation for kindness and fairness preceded her, and her interactions with the people were marked by genuine warmth and empathy. In one particularly memorable instance, Dulce intervened during a famine in the Alentejo region, organizing relief efforts and personally overseeing the distribution of food and resources. Her actions saved countless lives and cemented her legacy as a queen who truly cared for her people. Amidst these external and internal pressures, Dulce's partnership with Sancho remained a cornerstone of the kingdom's stability. The king relied heavily on her counsel, particularly during moments of crisis. Their relationship, built on mutual respect and shared purpose, allowed them to present a united front even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges. Dulce's ability to temper Sancho's more aggressive instincts with her measured approach often proved critical in preserving peace and order. As Portugal weathered these storms, the fruits of Dulce and Sancho's leadership began to manifest. The kingdom emerged from its trials stronger and more cohesive, its people united by a shared sense of purpose. The queen's efforts to mediate conflicts, build alliances, and support her subjects left an indelible mark on Portugal's trajectory. Dulce's role during these tumultuous years was a testament to her resilience and vision. She understood that the true measure of leadership lay not in avoiding conflict but in navigating it with wisdom and grace. Her ability to find common ground among disparate factions, her commitment to her people, and her unwavering faith in Portugal's potential ensured that the kingdom not only survived but thrived. By the end of this period of turmoil, Dulce's legacy as a queen and a diplomat was firmly established. She had guided Portugal through its darkest moments, laying the groundwork for the stability and prosperity that would follow. Her story during these years serves as a reminder of the transformative power of leadership rooted in compassion, perseverance, and an unshakable belief in the greater good. Dulce of Aragon's life was deeply intertwined with her faith, a foundation that shaped her actions as queen, mother, and diplomat. Her devotion to God was not merely a personal pursuit, but a guiding force that influenced her governance and the Kingdom of Portugal itself. During her reign, Dulce championed the Catholic Church, fostering its growth and weaving it into the fabric of Portuguese society. Her sacred legacy became a cornerstone of Portugal's spiritual and cultural identity. From her earliest days in Portugal, Dulce prioritized strengthening the Church's presence in the kingdom. She believed that a strong spiritual foundation was essential for a stable and prosperous nation. Dulce's personal piety inspired her to support religious institutions, particularly monasteries and convents, which she saw as vital centers of faith, education, and charity. One of her most significant contributions was her partnership with the Cistercian order. Known for their emphasis on simplicity, prayer, and manual labor, the Queen admired their dedication to God and saw their monasteries as beacons of spiritual renewal. Under Dulce's patronage, several Cistercian monasteries flourished, including the famed monastery of Alcobaça. This institution, which would become one of Portugal's most important cultural and religious landmarks, embodied Dulce's vision of a society grounded in faith and service. Beyond supporting the construction of religious buildings, Dulce also advocated for the Church's role in addressing social issues. She worked closely with clergy and monastic communities to establish hospitals, orphanages, and schools, ensuring that the most vulnerable members of society were cared for. Dulce believed that acts of charity were a reflection of divine love, and she personally oversaw many initiatives aimed at alleviating suffering and uplifting the poor. Dulce's efforts extended to the spiritual lives of her subjects. She encouraged widespread participation in religious festivals and ceremonies, seeing them as opportunities to unify the kingdom under a shared faith. Her presence at these events, whether it was a church consecration or a feast day celebration, reinforced her role as both a spiritual leader and a queen. Her genuine devotion inspired her people, fostering a deep respect for her and the monarchy. Her commitment to the Church also had significant diplomatic implications. Dulce recognized the importance of maintaining strong ties with the papacy and worked diligently to ensure Portugal's alignment with Rome. Her correspondence with church officials and her generous donations to papal causes enhanced Portugal's standing in the broader Christian world. This relationship with the papacy not only bolstered the kingdom's legitimacy but also provided crucial support during times of conflict. Dulce's influence on the church extended into the royal family. She raised her children with a strong sense of faith, instilling in them the belief that their roles as leaders were divinely ordained. Her eldest daughter, Teresa, became a living embodiment of Dulce's spiritual values. Teresa chose a life of religious devotion, entering a convent and dedicating herself to prayer and service. Dulce supported her daughter's decision wholeheartedly, seeing it as a testament to the strength of their shared faith. Teresa would later be canonized as Saint Teresa of Portugal, her sanctity a reflection of the spiritual foundation laid by her mother. The Queen's dedication to the Church was not without challenges. Her efforts to expand the Church's influence sometimes met resistance from segments of the nobility who feared the growing power of religious institutions. Dulce navigated these tensions with her characteristic diplomacy. emphasizing the mutual benefits of collaboration between the crown and the church. Her ability to balance these competing interests ensured that the church's growth did not come at the expense of political stability. Dulce's personal devotion was evident in her daily life. She maintained a rigorous schedule of prayer and worship, often attending Mass multiple times a day. Her piety was not performative but deeply heartfelt, and she sought to lead by example. Dulce's faith gave her strength during times of adversity. Whether it was the challenges of governing a kingdom or the personal trials she faced as a mother and wife. As the years went on, Dulce's sacred legacy became inseparable from the identity of Portugal itself. The monasteries and churches she supported became enduring symbols of the kingdom's faith and resilience. The social programs she championed uplifted countless lives, leaving an indelible mark on Portuguese society. Her spiritual influence shaped not only her own generation but also those that followed, laying the groundwork for a kingdom united by its shared beliefs. Dulce's final years were marked by a deepening of her spiritual life. As her health began to decline, she withdrew from the public eye, dedicating herself to prayer and reflection. Yet even in her solitude, her influence was felt across the kingdom. Her unwavering faith and commitment to her people continued to inspire those around her, ensuring that her legacy would endure long after her passing. When Dulce of Aragon died in 1198, Portugal mourned the loss of a queen whose life had been a testament to the power of faith and service. Her sacred legacy lived on in the institutions she had built, the lives she had touched, and the spirit of unity she had fostered. Dulce's reign was not defined by grand conquests or dramatic victories, but by the quiet strength of a queen who believed in the transformative power of love, faith, and compassion. Through her unwavering devotion to God and her people, Dulce of Aragon had become a symbol of hope and renewal, a sacred legacy that would guide Portugal for generations to come. The final years of Dulce of Aragon's life marked a period of transition, both for the queen herself and for the kingdom she had devoted her life to serving. By the late 1190s, Portugal was on the cusp of a new chapter. The seeds of growth and stability sown by Dulce and Sancho were beginning to bear fruit. But the queen's declining health signaled that her time to guide the kingdom directly was drawing to a close. In these twilight years, Dulce turned her attention to ensuring a smooth transfer of power and a lasting legacy for her children and the kingdom they would inherit. As Sancho I grew older, the weight of governance began to shift gradually onto their eldest son, Afonso, who was being prepared to take on the responsibilities of kingship. Afonso had been molded by the values and lessons imparted by his parents, but Dulce took special care to reinforce these teachings in his final years as crown prince. Her efforts to shape Afonso were not merely about training a ruler. They were about preserving the vision she and Sancho had cultivated for Portugal, a kingdom rooted in faith, justice, and unity. Dulce's relationship with Afonso was one of mutual respect. Though he was ambitious and eager to leave his mark on the kingdom, he valued his mother's wisdom and experience. Dulce often counseled him on the delicate balance between strength and compassion, emphasizing that a king's duty was not just to wield power but to serve as a steward of his people's well-being. Her lessons on diplomacy, drawn from her own experiences, would later prove invaluable during Afonso's reign. Beyond her eldest son, Dulce also worked to secure the futures of her other children, many of whom played key roles in the kingdom's alliances and governance. Her daughters, in particular, were pivotal in strengthening Portugal's ties with neighboring kingdoms through carefully arranged marriages. Dulce's meticulous planning ensured that these unions were not only politically advantageous but also respectful of her daughter's dignity and aspirations. Teresa, her eldest daughter, remained a source of immense pride for Dulce, having chosen a life of religious devotion. Teresa embodied the spiritual values her mother held dear. As Teresa's reputation for piety and service grew, Dulce supported her efforts, recognizing that her daughter's example would inspire countless others in the kingdom. The bond between mother and daughter was a testament to Dulce's influence. as Teresa carried forward the same spirit of compassion and faith that had defined her mother's life. Dulce's role as a matriarch extended beyond her immediate family. She saw herself as a mother to the nation, and this sense of responsibility guided her actions until the very end. Even as her health declined, she continued to advocate for policies that promoted the well-being of Portugal's people. Her commitment to charity and education never wavered, and she took comfort in knowing that the institutions she had nurtured would endure as a legacy of her reign. As the Queen's final days approached, the court was filled with an atmosphere of solemnity and reflection. Dulce's contributions to Portugal had been profound, and her departure was felt as a great loss. Yet she faced the end of her life with the same grace and faith that had defined her existence. Surrounded by her family and the clergy she had supported throughout her reign, Dulce prepared herself for the journey to the next life. In her last moments, Dulce's thoughts were with her children and her kingdom. She imparted final words of wisdom to Afonso, urging him to rule with humility and to always place the needs of his people above his own ambitions. To her daughters, she offered blessings and encouragement, reminding them that their strength and faith were vital to the unity of the family and the kingdom. When Dulce passed away in 1198, Portugal entered a period of mourning. Her death marked the end of an era, but her influence was far from over. The institutions she had built, the values she had championed, and the relationships she had nurtured continued to shape the kingdom's destiny. Dulce's legacy was carried forward by her children, who embodied the ideals she had instilled in them. Afonso, who ascended to the throne as Afonso II, drew heavily on the lessons of his mother's guidance during his reign, though his policies and priorities reflected his own vision for Portugal. The foundation laid by Dulce and Sancho provided him with the tools to succeed. Under his leadership, the kingdom continued to grow in strength and cohesion, a testament to the enduring impact of Dulce's efforts. The Queen's legacy extended beyond her immediate family and the borders of Portugal. The monasteries she had supported became centers of education and culture, influencing generations of scholars and leaders. The alliances she had forged with neighboring kingdoms endured, fostering a period of relative peace and cooperation in the Iberian Peninsula. And the faith she had so passionately championed remained a unifying force for the people of Portugal, guiding them through times of prosperity and adversity alike. In death, Dulce of Aragon was remembered not just as a queen, but as a symbol of resilience, faith, and love. Her life had been one of service to her family, her people, and her God, and her legacy was one of hope and inspiration. The torch she passed to her children and her kingdom burned brightly, illuminating the path forward for Portugal and ensuring that her influence would endure for generations to come. As Dulce of Aragon's life drew to a close, her eldest son, Afonso, stood ready to inherit the throne. With his ascension as Afonso II, Portugal entered a new era, one shaped profoundly by the lessons and legacy of his parents. Though Sancho's vision had laid the foundation for Portugal's growth, and Dulce's faith had imbued the kingdom with a strong moral compass, it fell to Afonso to build upon their work and navigate the complexities of his own reign. From the outset, Afonso II faced significant challenges. His father's ambitious repopulation campaigns had revitalized the land but left behind unresolved tensions among the nobility and a kingdom still grappling with its identity. To address these issues, Afonso drew upon the principles instilled in him by Dulce, a commitment to justice, faith, and the well-being of his people, though his reign would be marked by a departure from his father's military focus. Afonso's governance reflected the influence of his mother's diplomacy and compassion. One of Afonso's first priorities as king was to solidify the legal framework of Portugal. Aware of the disputes that had arisen from land distribution and noble privileges during his father's reign, Afonso sought to establish clear laws that would provide stability and fairness. His mother's influence was evident in his approach to governance, which emphasized collaboration and consultation. Afonso convened one of the earliest documented cortes, assemblies of nobles and clergy, in Portuguese history, setting a precedent for inclusive governance and reinforcing the idea that the crown served the people, not merely its own interests. Afonso's legal reforms extended to property rights, taxation, and the relationship between the crown and the church. Here, Dulce's teachings on balancing power and faith proved invaluable. Afonso recognized the church as a vital partner in governance, but also sought to delineate its influence to ensure that royal authority remained paramount. His negotiations with the clergy were marked by respect and pragmatism, reflecting the diplomatic skills he had inherited from his mother. The influence of Dulce was particularly evident in Afonso's relationship with the church. While Sancho had focused on repopulating and fortifying the kingdom, Afonso turned his attention to institutionalizing its spiritual foundations. He worked closely with monastic communities to expand education and social services, continuing the legacy of his mother's patronage. The Cistercian monasteries supported by Dulce remained central to these efforts, their role as centers of learning and charity growing under Afonso's reign. However, Afonso's reign was not without conflict. The tensions between the crown and the nobility, simmering during Sancho's rule, erupted into open disputes as Afonso sought to assert his authority. Many nobles resented the king's efforts to curtail their privileges, and their opposition threatened the stability of the kingdom. In these moments of crisis, Afonso often reflected on the lessons of compromise and diplomacy his mother had taught him. One notable example occurred when a coalition of nobles challenged Afonso's tax reforms, accusing him of undermining their traditional rights. Rather than resorting to force, Afonso convened a series of meetings with the dissenting nobles, echoing the conciliatory approach Dulce had often employed. His ability to listen and negotiate earned him grudging respect. And though the final agreement required concessions from both sides, it preserved the kingdom's unity. Beyond his internal reforms, Afonso continued to build on the diplomatic alliances forged by Dulce and Sancho. He maintained strong ties with Aragon, Castile, and Leon, ensuring that Portugal remained a respected player in the Iberian Peninsula's complex political landscape. His efforts to resolve border disputes with Castile were particularly noteworthy, as they reinforced the kingdom's territorial integrity without resorting to war. Afonso's diplomacy, much like his mother's, was characterized by a blend of firmness and tact, ensuring that Portugal's sovereignty was never compromised. Afonso's personal life also bore the mark of his mother's influence. His marriage to Urraca of Castile, arranged during Dulce's lifetime, was a union that strengthened ties between the two kingdoms. Urraca, like Dulce, was a woman of intelligence and piety, and her partnership with Afonso reflected the values of collaboration and shared purpose that Dulce had exemplified. Together, they worked to promote education, religious devotion, and social reform, continuing the legacy of their predecessors. One of the most enduring aspects of Afonso's reign was his commitment to his mother's vision of a kingdom grounded in faith and service. He expanded the network of hospitals, schools, and charitable institutions supported by the crown, ensuring that the most vulnerable members of society were cared for. Afonso's policies reflected a belief that the strength of a kingdom lay not in its armies or wealth, but in the well-being of its people, a principle that had been at the heart of Dulce's philosophy. Despite his achievements, Afonso's reign was not without controversy. His assertive reforms often alienated powerful factions, and his relationship with the church occasionally grew strained as he sought to limit its temporal influence. Yet, even in these moments of conflict, Afonso's actions were guided by a desire to balance the competing interests of his kingdom, a testament to the values instilled in him by Dulce. As Afonso II approached the end of his reign, Portugal stood as a stronger, more cohesive kingdom. The foundations laid by Sancho and Dulce had been fortified by Afonso's reforms, creating a legacy that would endure for generations. Though his leadership reflected his own ambitions and challenges, it was deeply rooted in the principles imparted by his parents. Dulce of Aragon's influence on her son was profound, shaping not only his character but also the direction of Portugal's history. Through Afonso's reign, her values of faith, diplomacy, and compassion found new expression, ensuring that her sacred legacy continued to guide the kingdom she had helped to build. As Portugal looked to the future, it did so with the confidence and stability that had been forged through the love and leadership of its royal family. The years following Dulce of Aragon's death saw her memory immortalized in the hearts of the Portuguese people and the history of the kingdom she had so profoundly shaped. Her life, though lived in the shadow of Sancho I's reign, had left an indelible mark on Portugal's cultural, spiritual, and political fabric. As her children carried forward her legacy, Dulce's influence resonated far beyond her time, ensuring that her contributions to the young nation would never be forgotten. The first and most enduring testament to Dulce's legacy was the stability and prosperity of Portugal under the rule of her son, Afonso II. The legal reforms and institutional developments initiated during Afonso's reign owed much to the values and vision imparted by his mother. Dulce's emphasis on faith, compassion, and diplomacy had equipped her children with the tools to navigate the complexities of leadership, fostering a spirit of service and humility that defined the dynasty. Dulce's patronage of the Catholic Church also left a lasting impact on Portugal's spiritual identity. The monasteries and religious institutions she had supported continued to flourish, becoming centers of learning, charity, and worship. The monastery of Alcabaca, in particular, stood as a monument to Dulce's commitment to faith and education. Over the centuries, it would grow into one of Portugal's most iconic landmarks, a symbol of the kingdom's devotion to God and its rich cultural heritage. The Queen's charitable works, too, became part of her enduring legacy. The hospitals, orphanages, and schools established during her lifetime remained vital to the well-being of Portugal's people, embodying Dulce's belief in the transformative power of compassion. These institutions served as a reminder that true leadership is measured not by the grandeur of one's rule but by the lives one touches. Dulce's memory was also preserved in the hearts of her descendants. Her children, particularly Afonso II and Saint Teresa, carried forward the ideals she had instilled in them. Teresa's canonization as a saint further elevated Dulce's legacy, as her daughter's piety and devotion were seen as a reflection of her mother's influence. The two women became symbols of Portugal's spiritual strength, their stories inspiring generations of faithful. Beyond her immediate family, Dulce's impact extended to the broader Portuguese society. The cultural renaissance she had fostered through her patronage of the arts and education left a lasting imprint on the kingdom's identity. Poets, troubadours, and scholars who had thrived under her support continued to shape Portugal's cultural landscape, ensuring that the Queen's vision of a vibrant and enlightened society endured. As the centuries passed, Dulce's story became woven into the tapestry of Portugal's national narrative. Chronicles and historical accounts celebrated her contributions, portraying her as a queen of quiet strength and profound influence. While Sancho I's military achievements often dominated the annals of history, Dulce's role as a builder of institutions, a nurturer of faith, and a mediator of peace was increasingly recognized as equally vital to Portugal's success. In the collective memory of Portugal, Dulce came to represent the ideal of a queen who served not for personal glory but for the greater good of her people. Her life was a testament to the power of love, faith, and diplomacy in shaping a nation. Her example inspired future generations of leaders, who looked to her story as a guide for navigating the challenges of governance with wisdom and grace. One of the most poignant aspects of Dulce's legacy was the way it transcended her lifetime. The values she championed, compassion, faith, and the pursuit of unity, became cornerstones of Portugal's identity. Her influence could be seen in the kingdom's continued commitment to education, its reverence for the church, and its emphasis on diplomacy and cooperation. Even in modern times, Dulce of Aragon remains a figure of admiration and respect. Her contributions to Portugal's development are celebrated as an integral part of the nation's history. and her life serves as a reminder of the enduring impact of leadership rooted in service and humility. The queen who once journeyed from Aragon to a fledgling kingdom on the Iberian Peninsula left behind a legacy that transcended borders and time. A legacy that continues to inspire, as Portugal flourished in the centuries that followed. Dulce's spirit lived on in its people and its institutions. The queen remembered not only for her role as a consort but as a mother, a diplomat, and a patron of faith and culture, had become an enduring symbol of hope and renewal. Dulce of Aragon's story is a reminder that greatness is not measured by conquest or power alone, but by the quiet strength of those who build and nurture the foundations of a better world. As Portugal moved forward into the future, the legacy of Dulce of Aragon continued to echo in every corner of the kingdom she helped to shape. Her life had been one of quiet resilience and steadfast faith, and her contributions to the young nation's identity remained evident long after her passing. Dulce's story was not one of military conquest or dramatic heroics, but rather one of enduring influence, a legacy that bridged generations and shaped the very soul of Portugal. In the decades and centuries that followed her death, Dulce's influence could be seen in the lasting stability of the Portuguese monarchy. The dynasty she and Sancho I nurtured proved to be resilient, carrying forward their vision for a united and prosperous kingdom. Through their son Afonso II and his descendants, the values Dulce had instilled, faith, compassion, and a dedication to the greater good, remained central to the crown's mission. The institutions Dulce had championed during her lifetime also flourished, becoming pillars of Portuguese society. The monasteries she had supported evolved into centers of culture and knowledge, their libraries safeguarding texts that would inspire generations of scholars. These institutions not only strengthened the church's presence but also contributed to Portugal's emergence as a center of learning and intellectual growth during the medieval period. Her commitment to charity and service lived on through the hospitals and schools she helped establish. These institutions became lifelines for the poor and the marginalized, embodying Dulce's belief that a ruler's duty extended to the well-being of even the most vulnerable. Her legacy in this regard was a reminder that leadership, at its best, is an act of service. As Portugal grew in prominence on the Iberian Peninsula, Dulce's influence extended beyond its borders. The alliances she had fostered with Aragon, Castile, and Leon created a foundation for cooperation and peace. Even amidst the region's frequent conflicts, her emphasis on diplomacy over force became a hallmark of Portuguese statecraft, ensuring that her values endured in the kingdom's dealings with its neighbors. Dulce's role as a spiritual guide for her people also left a profound mark. Her dedication to the Catholic Church helped to cement its central role in Portuguese life, shaping the kingdom's religious identity for centuries to come. The Queen's unwavering faith and support for the Church inspired generations of clergy and laypeople alike, fostering a sense of unity and purpose rooted in shared beliefs. In the hearts of the Portuguese people, Dulce of Aragon became a symbol of the ideals she had championed during her lifetime. Stories of her kindness, wisdom, and devotion were passed down through the generations, becoming part of the collective memory of the nation. She was remembered not just as a queen but as a mother to her people, a figure whose influence transcended the boundaries of her own time. By the time Portugal entered its golden age of exploration in the 15th and 16th centuries, Dulce's legacy was deeply ingrained in the kingdom's identity. The spirit of faith, resilience, and unity she had cultivated continued to guide the nation as it ventured into uncharted waters, seeking to expand its horizons and share its culture with the world. Her contributions to Portugal's foundation provided the strength and stability needed for these bold endeavors, proving that the seeds she had planted bore fruit far beyond her own lifetime. As history unfolded, Dulce of Aragon's name became a testament to the enduring power of quiet leadership. While kings and warriors often dominated the chronicles of the past, Dulce's story stood as a reminder that lasting change is often brought about by those who lead with humility, compassion, and a steadfast commitment to the greater good. In the present day, Dulce's legacy continues to inspire. Her life is celebrated not only in Portugal but by those who recognize the universal values she embodied. Her contributions to faith, education, diplomacy, and service remain relevant, offering lessons in leadership that transcend the ages. Dulce's story is a testament to the idea that greatness is not defined by the scope of one's power but by the depth of one's impact. The queen who journeyed from Aragon to Portugal, who built a nation with her husband and shaped a dynasty through her children, left behind more than a kingdom. She left a legacy of love, faith, and resilience, a legacy that endures in the hearts of those who remember her. Dulce of Aragon's story is not just the tale of a queen. It is a timeless reminder of the transformative power of leadership guided by purpose and compassion. In the annals of history, her name shines brightly, a beacon of hope and inspiration for generations yet to come. Thus, Dulce's story ends, but her legacy lives on, a chapter in the greater narrative of Portugal and the enduring values of humanity itself.